Hi guys, I welcome you all to the next lecture in our Anthropology series. So today we are going to start with subtopic of 9.4. We have completed sex chromosomal aberrations. Today we are going to do autosomal aberrations. Okay, before that we had studied about what are the different kind of chromosomal mutations which are there. जिसमें we had a introduction about sex chromosomal aberrations and autosomal aberrations. Now we are going to do what are the different kind of diseases that occur because of any autosomal aberrations. So let's get started. And as you have seen that how the diseases get transferred. So this is a karyotype, right? And we have seen this karyotype again and again. This is a normal karyotype of a human. Okay. So the first disease that we are going to study today is Down syndrome. Okay, so first let us just go and look at the picture of Down syndrome. So you can say this is a person who's having Down syndrome. Okay, so this is trisomy 21. So this is also known as trisomy number 21, because in the 21th pair of chromosome, for example, if we go back to this picture, this is the 21th pair. Okay, this is the 21 number of pair. So normally there should be 2 chromosomes, but in this case there are 3. Okay, so there is one extra in the pair number 21, and that causes the Down syndrome. So basically what is the difference between autosomal and sex chromosome is that we have already studied till now that we have 23 pairs, out of which one pair is your sex chromosomal pair and 22 are your autosomal pairs. That means these autosomal pairs are inherited without any differentiation, but there is only a sex chromosome which is either an XX or an XY. ठीक है ना? So ये थोड़ा सा here the differentiation is there a little bit, but autosomal में there is no differentiation. It is almost same in every person and inherited in a similar way. ठीक है? So it doesn't depend कि mother से है या father से है. It doesn't depend. Okay? So these autosomal pairs have their own encoded material. ठीक है? They make their own proteins. ठीक है? And they are responsible for different working of a person's healthy person. Okay, so when we say that in the chromosome number 21, obviously if there are certain genes or proteins that are encoded on this, okay, if there is another trisomy here happens, then it is going to bring about certain amount of changes in the person that is having this trisomy. That is one point. The second point I want you to know is that you can see that the size of different chromosomes vary. ठीक है? That means not every chromosome has the same shape, has the same size and has the same structure. That means this differs. So this differentiation also would make you should understand that every chromosome has different genes encoded on it. So they are responsible for different genes. For example, a Y chromosome has much less, ठीक है, genes encoded on it as compared to an X. ठीक है ना? So that means if there is any abnormality that happens on a Y chromosome, it might not become that fatal as compared to any abnormality on the X chromosome. Why? Because X may there are a lot more genes encoded. That means lot many abnormalities. If a certain person has certain mutation in the X, okay, then they will have more deformities. That means if there are certain chromosomes which are longer and there are certain which are smaller, so obviously they will have a little less encoded genes on it. That means little less fatal those abnormalities could be, and also depending upon the degree of mutation. That means agar less degree of mutation is there, so less fatal or less dangerous. If more and more degree of mutation is happening, then more fatality is going to happen. So this is, even though this was the example of a sex chromosome, but you need to understand that this is the thing that is going to happen, or this is the kind of functioning that is going to be there for every chromosome, ठीक है ना. So for example, if a chromosome 5 let's say has a abnormality, ठीक है, वो ज़्यादा fatal हो सकती है as compared to a smaller chromosome, ठीक है ना. So this is certain tidbits that I told you. You need not to write any of this thing. This is just for your understanding. Okay. So now let's go to the this Down syndrome. Okay, I told you it is called trisomy number 21. It is also called mongoloid idiocy or mongoloid syndrome, because in here it is now very, see, a lot of our history was colonial, and I'm not talking about India but the world. So these Europeans have always, used these kind of derogatory remarks on other people, on rest of the world. The people who were not European, for them they all were people who were inferior, and they have used these derogatory terms for everybody. So who are Mongoloids? Mongoloids are the people. These are basically racial or ethnic classifications, that are done on the basis of different physical features. Okay, and जो Mongoloids होते हैं, people inhabiting the present day China, Mongolia, okay, southeastern nations, ठीक है, Thailand, Cambodia, right, and some part of northeast India also. So these are Mongoloid type of characters. I'll just show you a picture also so that you have an idea. This could be roughly a cartoon picture of a Mongoloid face. That means they have these kind of eyes. They are little like, you understand, they have the epicentric fold. This is, we are going to study in 9.6, I guess, so do not worry, we'll cover it there, what are their facial features. But what they did, this whole people who were studying, they had just drawn a comparison between the facial or they have drawn a resemblance between the facial features of a child having Down syndrome and Mongoloid face. So that means any child who has a Down syndrome, according to them, looks like a person who has a Mongoloid face. That is why it is also known as Mongoloid idiocy or Mongoloid syndrome. Idiocy also, they use this word idiocy. Idiocy has come from the word idiotic. That means somebody who has a less IQ. Now these are so derogatory remarks. You can just see the kind of insensitive nature that they had all through their life, right? So this is something जो we should never use certain terms like that. So इसको Down syndrome बोलते हैं. As you can see in this, the mouth is always open, ठीक है, they are not able to, keep their mouth shut, so this mouth and the tongue always comes out, ठीक है. There is intellectual disability, ठीक है. The IQ ranges between somewhere 25 to 50, which is very less, मतलब that is why they have low IQ. They have hearing loss, okay, they have hearing losses. Then they have very short stature, so height is very short, ठीक है. Small ears होते हैं, small mouth होता है, ठीक है. Excessive skin होती है at the neck, ठीक है, excessive skin है. Then they have hypotonia, that means weak muscles, ठीक है. Muscular development नहीं होती, that means they have weak muscles, okay. Then apart from that, they have the Mongoloid facial characters. That means broad and round face होता है, Mongoloid face, you can say Mongoloid face. इसमें क्या होता है, what are the characteristics of Mongoloid face? They have broad and round face, ठीक है, wide nostrils and epicentric fold on the eye. So these are certain Mongoloid facial characters which are also somewhat present in the Down syndrome people, ठीक है. Then they have the simian crease on the hand. Now I'll just show you the simian crease also. Okay, so this is a normal hand we have, and if you look at this crease, this is something like this. we all have certain creases on our hands which look like this, but simian crease is one that is there on the ape's hand also, and which joins the two sides. So this is the जो हम ape के hand में भी we can simian क्या होता है, monkey और ape like, right? So we see this typical simian crease on them, but it is present in the person who has the Down syndrome. ठीक है? So I hope you have understood. Now let us go back to the slide and see what Down syndrome is. So we have talked about that it is trisomy number 21. That means there is non-disjunction in chromosome number 21, because of which we have instead of 2 we have 3. That means trisomy in the chromosome number 21. ठीक है? And it has a pseudo resemblance. Pseudo means artificial or not true. ठीक है? Pseudo resemblance with the mongoloid features. aka it is also known as mongoloid idiocy or syndrome. We have talked about this, and we have talked about the non-disjunction in the chromosome number 21 also. Now features: hypotonia, that means weak muscles. We have talked about this. At the childbirth, the child does not cry much. Okay, they have short and stubby hands. That means very stocky. Then simian crease on the palm. Foot has a wide gap between first and the second toe. I'll show you. Then broad head, wide nostrils and protruding tongue. ये broad head, wide tongue and round face आप बोल सकते हो. Mongoloid characters भी होते हैं. ठीक है? And protruding tongue. So these many I think are fine. And apart from that, you can say obesity. The children who have Down syndrome, they have they are susceptible to being obese. Okay. Acha. Apart from this, they also have hypogonadism. That means there's a difficulty or low fertility. ठीक है? So they have these kind of problems, and apart from them they have gastrointestinal problems, cardiac malfunctions. Okay, so these are all the problems that they have. Now this is the gap we were talking about. Normal feet does not have this much gap. Normal feet, for example, if I draw normal feet, it will look like this. ठीक है? But a child with a Down syndrome will have a unusually larger gap between first and the second toe. ठीक है? So you understand. So I hope you have understood the whole Down syndrome. ठीक है ना? Yeah. So now let's go to the So I have written also low immunity होती है. They have low immunity. ठीक है? Low blood pressure at birth. Congenital heart malformation. That means heart health is not good. Heart is not formed very well. It doesn't work very well. Almost in 50% of the cases they die within 1 year. That means fatal भी है. ठीक है? But you can say Down syndrome, the people who have Down syndrome can live up to 40 to 50 years. ठीक है? So if they survive, they can live up to 40 to 50 years. ठीक है? Then mental retardation is there. That means IQ is not at par with normal human beings, and almost 1 in 700 live births. Okay, so that means it is not very rare, and it is also somewhere associated with maternal age. That means if a mother is conceiving after the age of 35 or 36, okay, there are more chances of the baby having these kind of syndromes. So I think the first one is clear. Now let's go to the second one, which is the Patu syndrome. Okay. Now in Patu syndrome, there is trisomy number 13. That means in the 13th chromosome there is trisomy. So if this is the chromosome number 13, if this is the chromosome number 13, this is the normal, but then in this case there is trisomy, so it has one extra, so it looks like this, somewhere like this, right? That means it should have been 2, but there are 3, and this causes the mutation in the chromosome number 13. Okay. So features क्या रहेंगे? There are deformed hands and feet. That means feet and hands are not proper developed and normal like a normal person. ठीक है, थोड़ा different होता है. There is overlapping of fingers. For example, if I have to draw, like if I am drawing a fist of somebody, so fist looks somewhat like that. Okay, normal person's fist would be very clean, something like this. My drawing is not that good, guys, but their fist looks like this. That means there is overlapping of fingers. Okay, then there is a cleft lip. Okay, I'll show you what is a cleft lip, do not worry. Then deformed appearance of the face. That means face, hand, feet, they are all deformed. That means there are certain malformations. Okay, then there are congenital heart malformations, eye and kidney defects, brain malformations, mental retardation. So that means a lot of uh, you know uh, health effects are there. ठीक है ना? So you can see a small mutation can have such a big, you know, uh, expression on our phenotype, and not only the phenotype, on our health, survival, everything, right? So occurs 1 in 2200 live births. And moderate maternal age effect. That means if the mother ages more, then there are possibilities that the mother can, you know, have a child with the Patu syndrome. ठीक है? Now just look at this picture. This is what the cleft lip looks like. That means the whole lip na, that is broken, and it goes back up till your insidal part. Let me see if there is any other picture which shows. Okay, if I have to draw I'll just show you. If normal lip looks like something like this, right, the cleft will be na broken lip रहेगा. ठीक है? This, it will look something like this. So there is a gap. ठीक है? There's a cleft, there's a gap, and it could go, for example, this is the nose, there is a gap. Normal nose ऐसा रहेगा ना, but यहाँ पे there will be a gap. I'll just show you again. If this is the nose, there will be a gap. ठीक है? So if these are the eyes, so कुछ broken सा रहता है, and it goes up till your mouth from inside. Okay, so this is the cleft lip. Then abnormal ears or low set ears. Ears are very low. For example, if a normal person if a normal person's face I draw, their ears are here, for example here, they have here, or very low. ठीक है? And they have hearing problems also. ठीक है? They have clenched fist. You can see the fingers are, you know, on overlapping on each other. They have microcephaly. Microcephaly means that small head. Okay, normal head. Cephalic or cephaly is head, and micro means small. Okay, so they have small head. Then they look like potter's face. So because of the broken nose, I showed you na the cleft palate and all. So that broken nose and epicenthic eyes. Epicenthic, that mongoloid eye character. Similarly इस पे भी हमको mongoloid eye character दिखता है. ठीक है? Then they have downward sloping eyes. ठीक है? Then abnormal clenched fist we have talked about. Prominent heel. You can see how much it is coming out, right? So they have prominent heels. Then kidney abnormalities are there. Heart congenital heart formations are there. Cleft palate is there. ठीक है? Micro ophthalmos, that means eyes small, right? So these are certain problems that a person can have, and mean survival is around 132 days, which is very low, है ना? That means 132 days कितना हो गया? Almost not even 5 months. So you can see a person having this kind of a disease dies very early in life, less than 5 months the age is. ठीक है ना? So I hope you have understood this Patu syndrome also. So guys, I think this will be a lot for you to understand, and I'm sure इतने सारे हैं, and there is so much of कौन सा trisomy 21 है, कौन सा 13 है, there are a lot we have 2-3 more to study. I think we'll cover them tomorrow. And if you like the lecture, please like, share and subscribe. These words you have to remember. What is hypotonia, microcephaly? These are the words that you're going to put in the paper. Epicentric fold, ठीक है ना? So अगर ये you'll remember, it'll be good for you, because these are the features that you're going to write and which are going to fetch you marks if you write in these examples. Because अगर आप बहुत ज़्यादा explain, instead of weak muscles you are writing hypotonia, so that will look a lot more well researched, right? So please do write these words, and I'm covering them very slowly because I want you to understand each of them, and I'm not in a hurry to explain any of them कि मैं एक ही दिन में I complete all of them. I want you to understand, I want you to remember the words, okay? So if you liked, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.